Monday, everyone. I am so excited you are here for your next episode of the Monday Huddle. As you know, here at Shop Talk, we are all about a Monday. So I want to welcome you officially to another episode of our Monday Huddle. I'm Dr. Dawn, CEO and founder of Dr. Dawn Shop Talk, and we love a Monday around here and want you to be part of our Monday revolution because we really believe that if you start your week with a different attitude about Monday, you can start seeing Monday for what I truly believe it should be, a fresh start and a new beginning. Now, remember, if you've joined us before, I try to keep the Monday Huddle show relatively short. I share just 3 tips with you. That way you can join us on your lunch hour when you can. So it's really a small taste of what can be covered in our packages and presentations. So don't forget, Dr. Dawn Shop Talk is your place for online career coaching, resume reboots, career confidence boot camps, you name it. We've got tons of services for you and would love to work with you. So take a look at our website. Just go to drdawnshoptalk.com, and that's where I list all the different topics that we could bring to you and customize for you. I'm also a big believer in offering a freebie. So I do offer a free 30-minute consultation that could be done over the phone. It could be done virtually. That way you and I can take a look at the services we have and see if that would be a good fit for you. So reach out to me on Facebook, on our website, you name it. Would love to work with you as soon as possible. All right, you guys, it's now time to get started on this episode. I am so excited to offer today's episode. Do you have an unfulfilled dream? This is part of our 3-part series. This is part 1 of our 3-part series on taking charge of your life. So we're going to be looking at 3 strategies to do just that. So as we get started with the episode, I want to read to you sort of the introduction, and you can find this actually on the website. For those of you who've joined us for other episodes, you know that the tips I share with you on the Monday Huddle, I also share with you on the website. So there you can go and download any of the tips that we share for each of our episodes. All right, so let me kind of go over this with you so you can kind of get the theme of what we mean by an unfulfilled dream. So have you ever sat back and thought, I have this dream, but I'm just not doing anything about it? Do you daydream about what you would be doing right now if you had the time? Or do you know that you could make the time, but end up letting fear take the wheel and drive your decision making? As a career coach, these are questions I help my clients uncover all the time because it really is key in discovering where their true passions lie. And you guys, if we can do that, then we can figure out if the job they're in is the right job for them, or if it's not, maybe it's time to pivot. For me, it was the dream of starting my own consulting business. And I'm proud to report that after years of thinking about it, I started Shop Talk, and now I'm living my dream of helping people be their very best at work and at home. So you guys, I am so excited to share these different tips with you today. And again, so glad that you're here. Now, for those of you that have joined us before, you know I absolutely love co-hosting this show. And I love bringing special guests that I believe could really give us some insight on the topic. So since we're talking about unfulfilled dreams, and one of the tips we're going to be talking about is dreaming big, I could think of no better co-host than my friend Kim McPherson. Kim McPherson is the CEO of her own company. She's a writing consultant. She's a published author. And one of the examples that we're going to talk about today when it comes to unfulfilled dreams is writing the next great American novel, right? That's a pretty common one. And people always talk about how much they would love to write a book, but can't even begin to think about how to start something that big. So as we talk about big dreams and doing everything we can to make sure they come true, I could think of no better person than my friend Kim to be part of today's episode. So she's now joined us in our online broadcasting studio. Please welcome to the Monday Huddle, Kim McPherson. Kim, I'm so glad that you're here today, and happy Monday.
Thank you so much, and happy Monday to you too.
Kim, for our audience, I did in the intro talk a little bit about your background, but could you tell the audience a little bit more about what you do with your company to help people actually write their first book and get it published?
So, yes, I'm an author consultant and I help authors write, publish, promote, and launch their book. I'll walk them through the process, whatever it is that they need to get the words from the brain to the page and into a book so that they can actually get it out there and sell it.
Oh, such a wonderful idea. I mean, absolutely. As you know, because Kim and I have been working together, I'm writing a book myself, and just having someone to kind of help you through that process, especially someone who's gone through the experiences of getting it published, both self publishing, but then also traditional publishing as well. Kim has a lot of experience with that, you guys. So I think her business model is really exciting. I do want to also put her website up there, you guys. So if you had questions about the different services that Kim can provide or wanted to reach out to her for more information, visit her website. And I know I say this all the time, but I love the name of her website, bestsellerbound.com. If that doesn't just make you feel like you can fulfill your dream,
Mhm.
that I mean, definitely is just right up that alley, that path to success. So, Kim, love that. Absolutely love that you're here today. All
Thank
right,
you.
you guys, let's go ahead and put the information back up there about today's episode. Specifically, do you have an unfulfilled dream? So, what I'm going to do, you guys, is talk about first the very first tip. And again, you can find this on the tip sheet. So, let me tell our audience a little bit more about what I mean when I say dream big. Okay, you guys, back to our tip sheet. Let me kind of share a little bit more about this idea. Do you know that oftentimes people are very reluctant to dream big because they immediately believe that doing so would be foolish? So then the question is why? Well, oftentimes it's because people believe that they are protecting themselves from disappointment if they don't get their hopes up, if things don't work out. You guys, the problem with that way of thinking is that number one, it's not going to protect you from disappointment. Okay, because number one, it's okay to be disappointed from time to time. But number two, thinking that way doesn't prevent the pain of maybe something not working out, right? So by thinking small, you're not going to be able to get those dreams accomplished. So instead, all the research out there says that you really should think big and dream big. If you do, then you'll uncover that power within you to think that the impossible is possible. So I want to encourage our audience to begin with dreams and just dreaming big and believing your dreams can come true. CEOs of some of the biggest companies will tell you that they were big picture idea people. And if even if they weren't, they still had this faith that they can make things happen. So what do you think about that first tip, Kim, about dreaming big?
Oh, and I'm a big dreamer as well. There is no limit. The sky's the limit. There is no limit with that. And I believe everyone, if you have a dream, you should dream it big. And if you don't dream it big, you end up regretting it. And it motivates you. It motivates you to want more. And I really like that. I love to dream big. I'm a big dreamer.
Yeah, we definitely have that in common, right?
Mhm.
And then, Kim, I was also thinking that when I work with clients and we talk about their dreams, because that's a question I ask, what are your dreams? If money, education, time, if all of these barriers to making our dreams come true, if they weren't in the way, what would you really want to do? And that's part of an online coaching business is to really help people kind of uncover that, kind of discover it for themselves. So, for example, when I work with clients, maybe they just, for whatever reason, think, oh, there's no way I'd be considered for that promotion. So they don't even throw their hat in the ring. Or maybe they've always wanted to play piano or always wanted to learn a second language. And they're like, oh, no, I'm in my 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever. And they just presume it's too late to start. So dreaming big is a way, I believe, to really motivate you to realize that we're just so lucky to be here, right? If you're healthy and happy, we're just so lucky to even be around. So we want to make use of that time. And I believe, especially if you're happy at work, it will definitely spill over into other areas of your life. So definitely want to encourage our audience, dream big, you guys. Believe that the impossible is possible. And as a result, I believe your possibilities will be endless. So definitely want to encourage our audience to follow tip number 1. I also want to challenge our audience. Think about your dreams and think about breaking that up into more manageable steps. We're going to actually get into that in tip number 2. So let me go ahead and put that up there. Tip number 2 is prioritizing is key. So let's go over tip number 2 real briefly, and then I want Kim and I to talk about that. Okay, you guys, tip number 2 is that when people start to dream big, what happens is they many times have very little faith that it's going to come true. So think about it. If you have very little faith it's going to come true, right? You're not going to put much time or effort into trying to make it come true for yourself. So prioritizing your dream is key, especially if you can break it down into more manageable steps. So we talked about things like learning a second language, playing piano, or writing the next great American novel. And so we'll talk about that with Kim in our example, actually, in tip number 3 in just a minute. But I want you to think about the fact that there's a lot of things you can do if you prioritize it. And if you prioritize it, it's going to lead to the steps you need to take to make those dreams come true. For example, if you make it a priority and create that time in your schedule, then you're going to automatically find little ways to kind of get the ball rolling. Oftentimes with my clients, it's once they get started, it's like I use the example of a big boulder on top of a hill. The hardest part, you guys, is pushing it, is the first steps you take to push that big obstacle. And once you do, and that boulder starts to roll downhill, nothing can stop you. Nothing can get in your way. So take small steps. And by doing that, it's going to just kind of set that fire going, and you'll be pleasantly surprised at how much you can get done, how much closer you can get to making those dreams come true. So what do you think about that, Kim, in terms of breaking it down into smaller steps? I'm sure you do that all the time with your business and with your clients, right?
Yes, and I loved what you said about the making it part of your routine, part of your schedule. I do that with my authors. They need to set time aside and block it in their calendar to write, and just as much as they can. Maybe it's just 100 words, even. But taking bite-sized pieces of this dream that they have definitely helps them put it in to perspective. But it's very more manageable for them.
Absolutely, Kim, because it's not as overwhelming, right? If you take something big like, I want to be a published author, and then you just find out the steps, whether it's working with Kim here, who could help you create that plan for yourself, or whether it's taking some classes, whether it's listening to a book on tape of an author that really inspires you, right? Maybe their biography on how they got started. Maybe reach out to a local community college, because if you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's so expensive, I can't afford this and this and this, you might have someone at a college that would be willing to do an internship and maybe help edit your first manuscript, those kinds of things. So really take the big task and make it a priority. Now, one thing too I want to talk about, in previous episodes, I have talked about time management. Kim talked about building it into your schedule. You guys, it is so important. Listen to the words you say. If you tell yourself and others, oh, there's no way I'd have time to do that. I don't have time now to, run a brush through my hair, much less write a book or learn a second language. You guys, think about this. In previous time management episodes, I've talked about the concept of 168 hours. If you listen to time management researchers, listen to their books on tape, for example, there's a wonderful author, Laura Vanderkamp. She has a book called 168 Hours. You have more time than you think. She's not paying me for this promo. I just love the book. And I always had that belief system that there's 24 hours in a day. You multiply that times 7 days a week, then we all have 168 hours. In another episode of the Monday Huddle, we covered a show called Millionaires and Billionaires, What They Do Differently with Their Time. And I was shocked at how, when you think about the fact that we all have the same 168 hours, it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or if you're, working at a job that's barely paying minimum wage. You can't buy more time. You can't get more time. We all have the same amount of time. So why is it that some people seem to be able to make their dreams come true? They're not any luckier. Believe me, all of those CEOs started where you're at right now, right? So if you really want to make your dreams come true, you guys, really think about prioritizing that in your schedule. All right, let's move on, you guys, to tip number 3, because tip number 3 is all about using a real world example. So I definitely want to do that for our audience. Before I do, though, you guys, this is about the time that I remind our audience we absolutely love it when you make comments, so please do so. Also, like and share this video, because if you do, it's going to teach me what you as the audience members really like in terms of the content, so I can make sure I include more of that for you. Okay, so let's talk about a real world example. So I mentioned writing the next great American novel, because whether you watch this in a TV show or see it in a movie, it's a common example many times, I think, in the media, especially in movies and TV, where they show a struggling writer, somebody who is just like so excited about writing the book, and they hate their current job. They're doing it just to pay the bills. And then oftentimes they show that struggling writer as somebody who's like, oh my gosh, they've got either one too many rejections, right? They keep talking about it, but they never publish it, those kinds of things. So that's why I was excited to have Kim join us, because she is in the business of inspiring people to do just that. But bigger picture here, whether you're ever interested in being a published author, or maybe your dream is something different, I think the key is to remember that some of the most famous and successful people have been rejected so many times. In a previous episode, I used Stephen King as an example of someone who did not give up. Did you know, and Kim, you may know this story being a writer yourself, but did you know that one of his most acclaimed works, in fact, his first most famous book and later movie, was Carrie? He had been rejected so many times that he finally gave up, literally threw the manuscript in a trash can. And there's different stories about how it got retrieved from the trash can. Some stories give his wife credit. Some give his wife credit for taking it out of the trash can and convincing him to actually publish it. But she was definitely involved in encouraging him to try one more time. And the last time he sent it in, it not only got published, but we now know that was kind of the beginning of his amazing career, not just in books and novels, but then later in TV and movies. So imagine that, had he given up on his dream because of those rejections and all these other things, we wouldn't have his work today. So Kim, talk to us a little bit about that. Make comments about Stephen King if you'd like, about sticking it out. But what tips could you give for people who are just frustrated and just want to try to make that dream come true?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that we all have a book within our heart. We all have that. We may not want to act on it, but we all have it within us to write the next great book. And if you have that passion, you should obviously go for it. And the reason I say that is if you don't, you're denying someone your gift. And if your book can touch or help one person, then it's worth it. The rest will come. Obviously, you're going to get notoriety. You're going to sell books, but don't deny people that gift. If you have the dream to write, then you should do that. But don't let fear stop you. And I say this, doubt is the biggest dream killer. Don't let doubt and fear stop you. Just, what do you want to write? Write it down. What do you want to write? Just start writing, have little sprints and start writing down an idea. Maybe you don't know, and maybe you should just write, I don't know what I want to write till it hits you. But the main thing is just to start getting the ideas onto the page. That's basically where you start. If you can do that, and everyone can, then you can write a book.
I love that. I know, Kim, you've told me this before, because I always crack up when you say it was the story of a technique that you learned where even if you don't know what to say, you literally write on the page, I don't know what to say right now. There's just like that boulder, there's something about the act of writing it down that just has this energy in of itself, and you can keep writing. My sister, who's also a published author, she is amazing at this. She has 3 little kids, and there she is furiously typing. She's just now typed another manuscript, I think just wrote 300 pages. I mean, it's just crazy, right? And she's got that kind of energy and confidence because she's been writing since she was like 12. But, a lot of people don't have that inner something, and they just need that encouragement. So whether it's a professional consultant like Kim, who's specific to helping writers get published, and not just that, I know you help them with getting Audible and podcasts. It's just like a variety of services, whether it's hiring a professional or whether it's just reaching out, possibly to a mentor or somebody that's in the process. And again, it doesn't have to be the great American novel or the next book, but you have a contribution. And I love, Kim, when you said, that everybody has a story within them. Maybe it won't get published, but maybe that story is something that they share. And they share that at work, they share that in their personal lives, perhaps, and it could be an inspiration for others. So either way, it's just a win-win, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. It is.
I love it. All right, you guys, as we wrap up, remember our philosophy about Monday Huddles. That's why we want to bring you these topics, talk about these tips. Remember, you can get these free tips on the website, so make sure that you download those. But you can see as it scrolls across the bottom of your screen, we've got this. So hello, week, bring it on. We've got this, whether it's writing the book, whether it's going through all the tips and trying to put them in place. I will advise this one thing. Whenever we go over the tips, you guys, I've said this before, I want to say it again. Make it a priority, just like in tip number 2, to take just one action. Take one action this week to make your dream come true. Maybe your action is writing down, whether it's in a journal, a Post-it note, scratch piece of paper. Write down really is, perhaps the number one thing to do would be really to identify what that dream is, right? So maybe it's just to crystallize what is it in the back of my mind that's just calling me. When I started Shop Talk, I had this idea of a business. I knew I wanted to work with people outside of my regular working hours. I've been blessed to have an amazing career working for the state of Arkansas in education and training. But in addition to that, I knew I wanted to have a consulting business. So that was kind of in the back of my mind for some time. Then when I talked to people who were the CEOs of their own company and reached out to folks, what is it like to start your own business? Then all of a sudden, that boulder I talked about got pushed a little further and a little further. And the next thing you know, I'm busy living my dream of helping people be their best at work and in their personal life. So you guys, take one small step, no matter how small, one step in trying to make those dreams come true, okay? If you do that, this week of yours is going to be one of your best weeks yet. All right, you guys, as we start to wrap up, remember that you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and also on the Dr. Dawn Shop Talk YouTube channel. Don't forget that you can find this episode and all of our episodes actually on my Monday blog, which is on our website at drdawnshoptalk.com. Now, if you've seen our shows before, I love giving you a sneak peek into next week's episode. So you guys, part 2 in Taking Charge of Your Life, our 3-part series in Taking Charge of Your Life, is what to do differently on your next birthday. Some of you know I recently celebrated a birthday on October 3rd, and I woke up that morning and did things a little differently this year. So I want to share the 3 things I did that I felt not only made my birthday very special, but made it very symbolic in terms of how I looked at the year ahead. And you guys, we need every little bit of positivity as we continue to face this world pandemic, right? Kim, how long has it been since we've seen each other, right? So, right, anything we can do to kind of get you thinking a little differently in terms of planning and celebrating your birthday perhaps a little differently, I'm excited to share that with you. So that is going to be part 2 of our 3-part series in Taking Charge of Your Life. So, Kim, what do you think about that topic?
I love it. I'm excited about that one. I definitely want to check that out.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to put that one together. All right, you guys. So as we wrap up, I want to remind you, we want you to definitely have a happy rest of your Monday today. Thank you so much for joining us today. We want you to stay safe out there. And Kim, did you have any last parting words for our audience as we start to wrap up and say goodbye?
I want to just add what you said about you challenge everyone this week to write down a dream that they want. There's the saying, actions speak louder than words. I like to add to that, words create action. So by writing it down, you're creating action for that dream. And I just love that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Kim, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to have to write that down as soon as we're done.
Okay.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate you again joining us today. So, you guys, on behalf of Kim and myself, have a wonderful, wonderful Monday, and we will see you next week, same time, same place, for your next episode of the Monday Huddle. Take care and bye bye.